Hello, everybody. Welcome to ACM at UC. This is our fourth general body meeting of the semester. We're really glad to have you. It's October 15th, and sign in at the attendance form below so that we know that you came to the meeting and so that you have a chance to win a gift card at the end of the meeting. So stay tuned for that. Not on the right slide. There we go. So this meeting is being recorded. As always, obviously it's being live streamed, so it will be available on our YouTube channel after it is over. And we'll also have other resources in our archive on our website. And like I mentioned, sign in at attendance. So what is ACM at UC? We are the student chapter of the Association for Computing Machinery. We're basically the computer science and programming community at UC. And we're a group of students built around a common interest in computers, technology, and software. So we have workshops, talks like the one you're at right now, hackathons, socials, and other events like that. And we're open to all majors. And so we have a code of conduct. Basically just means we are a harassment-free experience for everyone. So you can find that at our website. And that also applies to our Slack and Discord and any other place where we have our community. Right. So events. So recently we had our social, a second social. We played Among Us on our Discord, and that was very popular. So we will think about what other socials we want to do, and we'll have more of those coming up soon. So our next meeting will be in 2 weeks on October 29th at 7 p.m., just like this one. And we'll have a talk on an intro to the technical interview by Baru Yogesh. And as always, every week we have office hours where you can come and hang out with us on our Discord, do homework, study, talk about anything you want, really. And so that's Tuesdays at 12 and Thursdays at 8. And so like I mentioned, if you haven't yet, sign in at acm@uc.org/c. And so since we can't have in-person meetings anymore and bring pizza for everyone to enjoy, we still wanted to give back to you guys and give you something that you can enjoy. So we have been giving away gift cards at the end of each meeting, selecting randomly from people who've signed in to attendance. So just stick around until the end. And if you sign in, you'll have a chance to win. And so one of our big events of the year, Revolution UC, is a 24-hour hackathon. I just want to give a quick shout out to that. It's in spring 2021. We're currently prepping for it and doing all the fun planning. So it's 24 hours of coding, learning, and fun. We've had in the past 300 plus attendees, lots of sponsors to connect with. And you can check our website for updates and check out our new branding and fancy new website. We just got that up. And our Twitter and Instagram you can check out for updates as well. So like I mentioned, our Slack channel, that's our main form of communication. You can sign up at that link. And we've got all kinds of different discussion channels to talk about really anything, share cool stuff happening in tech, all that stuff. And like I mentioned, code of conduct applies. And the Discord, we recently made it and we were using it for socials and office hours and things that are more interactive. So you can join. We have a link to join on our website. And with that, we'd like to get to the main event of today is Intro to Cloud with Heroku by our very own webmaster, Dev Agrawal.
Thank you, Brandon, for that. Awesome. How are you guys doing? No, I did not cut my hair, Lena. It's just a ponytail at the back. Thank you for noticing, though. Brandon, can you put my screen up?
Yep.
Thank you. Cool. So today I'm going to talk about Heroku, or more like an introduction to deploying your applications to the cloud. Heroku is just one of the easiest way and cheapest way to do it. About me, I am a third-year IT student at the University of Cincinnati. I am the webmaster here at ACM at UC. And I worked as a software developer at the Solution Center, but right now I'm in India, so I'm not working anymore. So still a software developer. Here are my socials: LinkedIn, GitHub, Medium, Slack. I guess the easiest way to reach out to me would be on the Slack. That's ACM Slack, by the way. Here is a rough outline of my talk today. Uh, it's a bit it's structured differently than other usual talks in that I'm going over some basic concepts or what Heroku is and what PaaS, that's platform as a service, and I'll show the demo, and after the demo I'll go over some concepts of Heroku. So it's structured like this. Usually in talks the demo is in the later half, but I wanted to do the demo earlier so that we can show the demonstration and hands-on stuff before and then go over the concepts, so that if the demo is on the later half, then by the time you get to it, you usually forget most of the trivialities and theoretical stuff that we go over. So I've kind of structured my talk like this. Let's see how it works out. Let me know how it works out. So let's start. What is Heroku? Put it simply, or how they put it simply, invest in apps, not in ops. This is directly from Heroku's website. Ops is, I'm pretty sure you've heard the term ops or DevOps, operations, thrown around in the industry quite a bit. So ops is basically having your application out there, having people test your application or automated tests on your application to see how it is, and then managing the different environments, different deployments. All of that comes under the operations. So Heroku really simplifies all of that. How does it do that? Well, let's check out. Heroku is a cloud service for hosting web applications and APIs. So it's a cloud service. Web applications and APIs could be like, it could be simple websites, it could be full-blown e-commerce platforms like Amazon, it could be web games like Slither.io, stuff like that. Web APIs, these can be APIs that you want to use for some third-party integration or for mobile apps, native apps, stuff like that. That's how Heroku helps. You can build those and you can just put them on Heroku. Heroku comes under the platform as a service tier, which I'll talk about in the next slide. Heroku is container based. So if you know about containers, that might sound familiar, or if not, think of containers as mini virtual machines that can run isolated from each other, and you can basically run your application inside a container, and you can have as many containers as you want. My laptop here can run like 5 to 10 containers, and then I can still watch a YouTube video. So that's how lightweight containers are. Heroku is based on containers, so any application that you deploy runs in containers. You can run as many containers as you want, and I'll talk more about containers after the demo. So this is platform as a service, or more like these are the three kind of ways to manage your applications or your deployment, stuff like that. The first one here is private. Now this is not cloud. These two, infrastructure and platform as a service, these are cloud services. The first one is when you buy your own servers, you create your own data center or server room, something like that, and you have to manage the whole thing. You have to get the hardware, you have to manage the networking, storage, and then you have to get the virtualization. You need to install the databases, the security monitoring software. You have to manage your application runtimes. And it's usually a pretty big hassle to maintain a private or on-premise data center. But people still do it because it gives you 100% control over everything. So private data centers are usually used by government agencies or healthcare or organizations that are just paranoid. Yeah, that's the right word. Yeah, so that's the one way of hosting your applications, that you just buy your own server. The second one here is infrastructure as a service. This is where cloud services come in, and they manage all the hardware, they manage the networking, they manage virtualization, and what they give is an access to a server, a virtualized server, but it's a virtualized server running somewhere on their farm, on their data center. Now, all you have to do is to go into that server. You can install whatever you want to do. You can install whatever operating system you want to. You can have any kind of software in there. You can install databases. You can manage your runtimes, or more like you have to manage your runtimes, and then you deploy your applications there. So it's easier than having your own data center, but you still have to manage all these things and you have to take care of them. Platform as a service is the tier which takes away the most from you, and it gives you the most freedom and the most flexibility. This is also where Heroku comes in. In platform as a service, everything is managed by your service provider. All you have to do is to give them your code. You link them to your GitHub repo. You tell them, hey, this is the code that I want to run, and they'll take care of it. That's all you have to do in platform as a service. Now, of course, there's a reason why platform as a service isn't used by everyone, because some people still want that flexibility over exactly what is happening. So they go for infrastructure, or if people really want that, I want my data to be in my building, then they go for private. Oops. Yeah, there we go. So that was platform as a service. Cool, let's do a demo here. This is the link to the GitHub of the project that I'll be using. I hope you can see my screen properly. Cool. So here is a very simple Node.js application that I'm going to deploy to Heroku. Let's first run it locally and see what happens. I'm going to do npm start. This is a pretty simple, it's just a couple of HTML pages that we're going to see as soon as the development server starts. There we go. All right. On port 3000, thank you very much. Let's go on localhost 3000, and we should see our server or our website any minute now. There we go. Hello ACM at UC. So this is a pretty simple website, nothing fancy about it. It has 2 pages here. It also prints the current date and time, because why not? So this is a very simple Node.js application, but the deployment process is going to look pretty similar for an application of any size. There has been, I've built like pretty large applications, or not me, but like I've worked on large applications, and I've deployed them to Heroku, and they follow pretty much the same process that I'm going to show you right now. Cool, let's end this right here. Yes, please. Awesome. Now, the same code can be found on the GitHub link that is on the slide right here. This is the GitHub. So what we're going to do is to deploy this to Heroku. Cool. So it's going to be very simple. First of all, I'm already logged into Heroku, but what you need to do is to create an account. It's pretty straightforward. There's nothing big about creating an account here. So let's create a new app after this. I'm going to call my app, let's say Node sample. Is it available? It's taken. Okay. I'll just add an ACM here. Cool. And there's United States and Europe, these 2 regions available. I'll deploy it to the United States and create app. There we go. Now it has created the app for us. Now what we need to do is to link it to our GitHub. There's basically these 3, there's a lot more ways to deploy, but these 2 are the most used one. Let's do GitHub. So for this, I'll need to connect my account to GitHub. I've already done that here. So if you get to this point, you'll see a button that says connect your GitHub account, and then you'll have to log into your GitHub and authorize Heroku, or authorize GitHub to give Heroku your details. It's an OAuth flow. Everyone has done it 1,000 times. So once you're connected, I'll just enter the name of the repo. It's called Node sample. Cool. Let's search for it, and there it is. Let's connect. And that's all that we needed to do. I mean, there's a couple more steps, but now the GitHub repo is connected to this Heroku application. Now there are 2 things here, automatic deploys and manual deploys. Manual deploys are straightforward. You choose which branch you want to deploy to Heroku. I have only 1 branch right now. It's called master. So that's the only one that I can deploy. Automatic deploys is the one that's going to be used most often. It basically listens to a branch for updates. And when you make some commits and push them to a certain branch, Heroku will get notified. It'll then fetch the latest codes from GitHub, and then it'll build it and deploy it. So let's enable automatic deploys for the master branch. And that's it. That's all that we needed to do to connect our code to Heroku. A couple more small things that we need to do here. First, we need to tell Heroku what language we've written the code in. So we do that through build packs. Just these are the languages that Heroku officially supports. You can write an app in Node.js, Python, PHP, any of these languages. One more thing, this process that I'm going through here, this can the same process will apply to any of these languages, whether it be Python, PHP, Java, or Scala. This will be pretty much the same process that you use to deploy any application to Heroku. There's also third-party build packs, which I'm going to talk about after the demo. So I'll just select Node.js from here, save changes, and that's great. New build pack configuration will be used when the app is next deployed. Awesome. Cool. So now we have connected the Heroku to GitHub. We have told Heroku that it's a Node.js app. The final thing to do is to tell Heroku how to run my application. So for that, that's also a pretty simple process. Until now, I'll just check if there's any questions. If there's any questions, I know I'm kind of going very fast through this. So if I'm going fast and if I'm losing anyone, please let me know so that I can slow down. Right now, there's no feedback, so I really don't know how fast I'm going. All right, so let's just recap once more. I didn't create a Heroku account, it was already there. So after creating a Heroku account, you create a new app, you connect it to GitHub, you define the build pack, which in my case is Node.js, and the final thing here is a proc file. I'll show you there. So in the root of your project, you have to create what's called a proc file. This is how Heroku knows how to run your application. Right. So what we need to do here is write web. This is the name of the process or the container. Let's just call the process. The web process that Heroku runs. We also need to say how to run it. That would be a simple npm run start prod. This is the command that I want Heroku to run. Now, if we take a look in package.json, all that's doing is running this JavaScript file, and the JavaScript takes care of everything. So all this is doing is telling Heroku that for the web application or for the web process, run this command, and that will start the application. Cool. So let's commit this, add a proc file. And while we're here, I think it'll also test the automatic deploys. So let's push this up to GitHub. And in our Heroku, okay, we are an overview. And once the code is pushed to GitHub, we should see some new activity in here. So let's wait for that. La, 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 la. So while that's happening, how are you guys doing today? How's Spooktober going? I think we already went through half of Spooktober. Should have worn a skull or something, right? In the Spooktober spirit. All right, give it a minute. Or I'll just refresh, I'm impatient. There we go. Now we see some new activity, build in progress. So what just happened was we pushed a commit, or we made a push to the master branch of GitHub. Heroku detected that, it started building the application, and it has now deployed it. So let's just quickly check the build log of what it did. Pretty much Node.js app detected. It installed Node.js in here. It installed all the dependencies, and build succeeded. So pretty simple. If we go back there, and okay, it's also deployed. So let's check it out. This is localhost. I'll close it and open app. Let's hope this worked. Please work. There we go. It's on Heroku now. And this is the domain, ACM node sample. That's the name I gave the app, .herokuapp.com. There we go. We have successfully deployed our Node.js application to Heroku. And that was in very simple 3 to 4 steps, something like that. Cool. Awesome. So let's go back to the slides. That was the demo that I had. Pretty straightforward, right? And once again, I'd like to reiterate, no matter, even if the application is pretty complicated or if it's in another language, the process, the entire deployment process that I went through, it's going to look pretty similar. Let's also, while we're here, check one more thing. Let's just update something and make a push. I want to go in here, or I want to go in layout. It says hello ACM at UC. I want from India. I'll just make that change here. And let's see how long it takes. Or let's see if it just updates at all. So let's say updated page heading. And we can push that. Cool. Once again, I don't know why it's taking so long for Git to push a couple commits to GitHub, but I don't know. Midterm seasons is over. Good to know. I didn't take any classes this semester, so well, good to know it's still over. All right, let's wait for it. New activity, there should be some new activity. Oh, there it is. Build in progress, let's check that out. There we go, it's doing the build. Build succeeded. Process types, launching, there we go. So if we open up now, it's gonna take, there we go. So once we deployed it, updating it was pretty simple. We just pushed a commit to GitHub, which we usually always do. But what all Heroku does is detect that, take the latest code, and build it. How cool is that? All right, let's get back in here. So that was most of the demo that I had. Let's now go over some concepts that I just flew by without explaining. First Heroku concept that you should really know is a Dyno. Now, I earlier talked about how Dynos or how Heroku is container based, right? Well, Heroku calls its containers Dynos. These are the small mini virtual machines, you can say that. They are the lightweight containers that run your applications. You can run as many of them as you want. Wait, I totally forgot I had points on the slide. Right, they're scalable. So right now, I only have one Dyno running. Let's actually check that out. So if I go into overview, I should see Dyno formation. There it is. If I go to configure Dynos, there it is. That's my one Dyno that's running. That's the container that runs my application. Now it's scalable. So right now I only have one Dyno running. If I think that I'm going to have like 1,000 users today, I can tell Heroku that, hey Heroku, I know I want 2 Dynos running today, or I want 3 Dynos because I'm going to have a lot of users. And Heroku will just spin up a couple more Dynos to run my app, and it'll automatically load balance them so that no one process or no one Dyno gets all the pressure. So that's a pretty cool thing that Heroku does. There's a free tier, of course, which sleeps after 30 minutes. So if no one uses our application for 30 minutes, the Dyno will just sleep. And the next time you go to the URL or you start the application, it might take a couple more seconds to start up, and that's it. The paid tier is also pretty cheap. That's $7 per Dyno per month. So if you only have one Dyno running for the entire month, you're paying $7. So that's how Heroku runs your applications. Configuration. All right, that's the second very important thing, or it's kind of the most important thing about development or applications, because any kind of applications always need some sort of a configuration. You always need to configure or tell your application in different environments so that it can be run by different people. So the most popular way to configure your applications is by environment variables. Once again, it's not only for Node.js. environment variables are available to every programming language, every framework, or anything that you use to develop your application. Environment variables are definitely the most popular way to configure applications. Uh, this configuration can be in form of database credentials, or if you have like, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a database somewhere in your application. You need credentials for that. If you're connecting to some third-party APIs, you'll have API keys. If you're storing passwords or doing some encryption, you're going to have some secrets there. So those are some popular configuration strings or configuration objects that you have. So let me also quickly demonstrate that in here. So if you go to this application, you see this. This is a development environment. This is controlled on the server. This is controlled by an environment variable. So how you set environment variables in Heroku is by going to the settings tab. And here's the config variables. Now the config variable that I need to update is production, and I'll set it to true. Now this, in my server, I'm checking for this environment variable. If it's true, then this should not appear. This should just disappear. So let's test that. I'll add this in here. Cool. Give it a couple seconds. Refresh the page. And it's gone. So that's pretty easy on how you can configure your applications. Now if I just make it false, or let me just delete it. Delete config variable. Once again, give it a couple seconds. And I refresh. And it's back there. So any sort of configuration for your application you need, it can be database credentials, like I said, it can be encryption secrets. This is how you add configuration there. It's pretty easy. Okay, what's next? Add-ons, right. Heroku has a pretty rich library of third-party software and plugins that you can just use in your application. Now, these are like some of the popular forms like database. You need some software for database. It could be Postgres, could be MongoDB, could be MySQL, stuff like that. For caching, you'll probably use Redis, something like that. If you want logging, you'll use something there. Messaging, maybe RabbitMQ, search, Elasticsearch, stuff like that. So these are usually basically extra software that you need to install and manage. But with Heroku add-ons, you can just like provision them as a service provider. So just like Heroku is a platform as a service, these different services are also provided to you. All you have to do is to click on a couple buttons and you have them at your service. They are fully managed by the service provider. So whatever provider is giving you the service, they manage everything. All you have to do is to tell them that, hey, you need this. So I'm also going to demonstrate that very quickly here, just to show you how easy it is. So here it is on the overview. You see the configure add-ons. So let's use a database here, because why not? Find more add-ons. This will open elements.heroku.com. This is basically all the add-ons that you can use. There's a bunch of different categories here: data store, monitoring, logging, email, errors and exceptions, content management, testing, network services, just a bunch of different add-ons that you can use. So let's find a good database here. MySQL, sure. I like MySQL. MySQL is the best SQL database out there. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay, let's look at the plans and pricing. Hey, it has a free tier, awesome. Now there's a button. All you need to do is to click on the button. Now it'll come back to dashboard, and you need to tell it which app you want to install it in. So I think mine's called ACM. There it is. So this is the app that I want to install this add-on in. Submit order form. One more thing while I'm here. To provision add-ons, you must have a verified account. And how you do that in Heroku is you need to enter your credit card details, basically. Now, Heroku won't charge anything unless you go for the paid Dynos or you go for some paid add-ons. But it just needs the credit card details to verify your account. And only then you can get add-ons. Now I already verified my account, so I just got the add-on. But if you create a new account, you should keep that in mind. Cool. So there is the MySQL database that I just added. Now if I go into settings, I reveal config variables. There it is. Now there's a database URL that I just got from MySQL from the service provider. Now I can use this URL to basically do whatever I want with the database. I didn't have to install a database server anywhere. I didn't have to create another account, and it just did it for me. So that's how easy it is with Heroku add-ons. It's pretty straightforward, and honestly, um, I have seen like apps use 10 different add-ons, so it's pretty cool what we can do with these. So those were the basic concepts about Heroku that like if you're going to deploy it to Heroku, or if you're going to use Heroku on a regular, or like just for a hobby project or something, you should probably know those concepts. Now these are some advanced concepts. You don't really have to know these to just be a practitioner or something like that. But if you're going on a job that uses Heroku, if you're going into a workplace that use Heroku on a daily basis, then you should really know the advanced concepts that I'm going to talk about here. So the first one is the CLI. Just like every other tool, Heroku also has a command line interface because developers really like working in their terminals. If it was up to us, we could just like create our home in a terminal. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. So yeah, command line tool, it just makes everything easy. Pretty much anything that you can do from the web UI, the UI that I was doing everything in, you can also do pretty much all of those things from the command line interface. That's how powerful it is. And being a command line interface, it makes it really easy to automate tasks. You can put them in like bash scripts or stuff like that, npm scripts, whatever kind of automation you need. It makes everything pretty easy. Build packs. So when in the settings, we went to build packs to tell Heroku what language or application is written in, right? That's kind of what a build pack does. But you can think of build packs as it prepares your servers or your containers for the application. So in the case of Node.js, all it does is install Node.js on that server. In case of Ruby or Python, all the build pack does is install Ruby and install Python in that server. Now you can have your build pack do pretty much anything. I mean, if you want to write a custom build pack, you can do that. There's a bunch of third-party build packs out there that you can use for your use cases. For example, if you want to write an application in Erlang, it's an maybe it's an Elixir application, something like that, and it's not an officially supported build pack. That's not a problem. You can find a lot of other build packs out there that will install Elixir on Heroku. So that makes it pretty flexible. Pipeline is something that I haven't really used on Heroku, but I believe it's more meant to be in a workplace kind of thing. So basically what a pipeline does is it can have different environments for your application. So usually in a workplace, what developers do is have 3 different environments. One is a development environment, one is a staging, and then one is a production. Now, instead of having to manage these 3 environments separately, you can manage all 3 of them using pipeline. So what you can do there is imagine there's a new pull request of someone who worked on a new feature or fixed a bug. Now, Heroku pipeline will take that pull request and create a development environment with the code in the pull request. So instead of usually what you have to do is you have to pull all the changes, run it locally. You can just go on a URL and see all those changes without having to run everything locally. And then once the pull request is merged, once all the pull requests are merged, you can have everything in the staging environment. And once you're satisfied, you can click on a button and everything goes to production. So pipeline really makes it easy to work with teams when you're collaborating with multiple people. If you're working alone or just like 1 or 2 people on a hobby project, you probably don't need pipeline, but it's something to keep in mind if you go into a workplace. So the final thing is web and worker dynos. I'm just going to stop here for a second and see if there's any questions in the chat. All right. Why do programmers always miss their flight? They never leave the terminal. That's accurate. How is a GitHub pipeline different? GitHub pipeline, I assume you're talking about GitHub Actions. If so, GitHub Actions is basically, it takes your code, it runs some things on it, like it can build your code, it can test it, and then it can deploy it somewhere else. Like it can deploy it to Azure, to AWS, to Heroku. That's what GitHub Actions do. Heroku pipeline is more of a DevOps thing. So like if you have multiple people working in the same team on the same project, so it makes it easier to manage the work done by everyone. I hope that answered your question. All right, so I don't see any more questions in here. I'm gonna go over to web and worker dynos. So if you remember the proc file, oops, sorry about that. So if you remember the proc file that we made here, let's say web npm run start proc. So this web is the type of the dyno that we want to run. So dynos are these containers that I talked about, but there's also different types of dyno that you can run in your Heroku application. So web is the kind of the main dyno. What web does is that's the main web application that you're running. That this application or this process will be served over the URL over to the rest of the world. Right. Now you can also have worker dynos running. Worker dynos are basically used for background processes or things that like you don't need to go over a URL to do something. So a use case would be like imagine a scheduler or some kind of an update service that sends me an update every day about a certain statistic or some certain data, like how many people have registered for a certain event. So I have an update like that every day it will send us an update of how many people we have registered for Revolution PC. Now that is something that I can put in a worker dyno because it's just a process that's running on the cloud. It doesn't need to be over a URL. It doesn't need an endpoint. It's just running there. So I can run it in a worker dyno. Something else that I can do is if I have a messaging queue, I can send it messages and then worker dyno can do something and it'll respond to me. So you can pretty much build an entire microservice architecture using web and worker dynos. All your microservices can be worker dynos and your main API would be the web dyno, and then you can have something like RabbitMQ connected to them. I'm talking too much. Right, so again, it's an advanced concept. You don't really need to know that, or unless you go into a workplace that uses worker dynos, you don't really need to know what they are. All right, that was a lot of talking. Okay, it's time I stop the talking and you go and listen to someone else talk. The Heroku Dev Center is like, it's a pretty good documentation on everything Heroku. You can I've been using Heroku for like 3 years now. And whenever I've run into an issue of some sort, or I need some help, or I'm stuck somewhere, I can pretty much always find the answer on the Heroku Dev Center. I have very rarely found myself going to Stack Overflow or something like that for questions on Heroku. So the Heroku Dev Center is amazing. You can find pretty much everything related to Heroku on there. The Getting Started has a nice tutorial on like how to deploy. It's pretty similar to the demo I gave you, but it's a bit more, I don't know why I keep clicking. Right, it's pretty similar to the demo that I gave, but it's available for like all languages. So like Python, Ruby, they have separate for that. Of course, Heroku has a free tier. Like I mentioned before, the free application or the free dynos sleep after 30 minutes of an activity. Also the Heroku add-ons. Most of the add-ons are available for free. Some of them are not, but you should be able to find an add-on to serve your use case pretty much all the time. Codish is a podcast by the Heroku team. They talk about developer life, some stuff about Heroku. It's pretty interesting. You should check that out. Heroku for students. So if you know about the GitHub Student Pack, in case you don't know about the GitHub Student Pack, we get access to it as UC students. It's a bunch of free stuff, basically, that is usually paid, but we get access to it because we are students. So Heroku for Students gives us 2 years of the $7 per month Dynos. So you can basically deploy your app on Heroku for like the premium tier for 2 years with the Heroku for Students plan. It's pretty good. Heroku blog, of course, you can check that out. If there's any updates for Heroku or new things that you can do with it, they'll be up there. And they have a training and education page where they have some official training modules. They have certification. So if you want to be an expert in Heroku, you should check out the training and education page. Cool. That's all I had. Now I'll check for more questions here. I don't really see a lot of questions, so if you have more questions, you can reach out to me on Slack, on LinkedIn. There's also my GitHub and Medium in there. I'm also going to hang out in the office hours. That's right after this meeting. So you can also chat with me there. Cool. Thank you for attending my talk.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dave. Excuse me. Yeah, and I like that you mentioned the GitHub Student Developer Pack, and yeah, that's a great resource for those of you who don't know. Yeah, you can head over to GitHub. Just Google like GitHub Developer Pack. You'll see like this giant list of stuff that you can get for free just with your .edu email. It's really simple. You just go into your and you can also get a free pro GitHub account. Excuse me. You just have to link your school email into your GitHub account. There's like an easy way to link a secondary email and you get all this free stuff. It's really great. So yeah, definitely check that out if you haven't. All right, so to wrap up today's meeting, we've got some events upcoming as usual around EECS. As I mentioned at the beginning, we've got in 2 weeks, our next meeting at 7, intro to the technical interview with Baru. And then next Thursday will be ACMW's meeting at 6. And in 2 weeks, also like us on October 29th at 5, will be IEEE's next meeting. And so let's head on over to the raffle. So I think we've got Piyush on the call. There we go.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Dave, for the good talk. I'm definitely going to go back and watch that again for my own personal projects. But yeah, that was really insightful. So now for the raffle, I think we got 3 other people who signed the attendance sheet. Pretty good odds to win the raffle this time as well. So yeah, we got 3 people. I'll wait just for a few more minutes, like 2 more minutes, to see if anyone else wants to sign the attendance sheet and be considered for the raffle.
Awesome. And I think, had we decided on a Domino's gift card so that next time, next meeting, you can order yourself some pizza if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, this time it's
just like an ACM meeting.
Yeah, exactly. This one's a $20 Domino's gift card, and there'll be 1 winner. All right, so it looks like we only have 3 people. I'm just gonna go over to the Google random generator, see what we get. Right.
Clicky, clicky.
Ooh. So looks like we have, looks like we have Samantha as the winner. Samantha Shaw.
All right, congrats.
Congratulations. Yeah, if you can go ahead and give us your email ID. Just
yeah,
leave
whatever
it on.
email you want us to send the gift card to.
Yeah.
So you can message one of us, anyone you want. Or Kevin Sly.
Yeah. You can find all of us on our Slack or Discord, whichever works best for you.
Awesome. All right.
All right. Thanks.
So thanks for coming, everybody. That was, like Piyush said, that was a great talk from Dave. And yeah, go back and watch it anytime you're wanting to start a new project with Heroku, anything like that. And like I mentioned, check out the GitHub developer pack if you want a bunch of free resources for starting your next project. So thanks again, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. And also right after this, head over to the Discord. You can join. There's a link in the description of this video or on our website. You can join the Discord and we'll be hanging out. All right, thanks for coming.